Well, Asheville gets about 13 million tourists a year. Right now, post Helene, inventory for short-term rentals is down 20%. So we've lost 20% of our Airbnb inventory. Tourism is still right there at 13 million. It had a dip last year after, post Helene. We had a tough beginning of the year, especially, but things really came back in spring and summer. But things are back now. So we're down in inventory. We've got the same number of tourists. And if you take those numbers, I think with these short-term rentals we're building, we're actually attracting people to the area that couldn't or wouldn't or didn't want to come here before via these amazing properties. We hear it all the time. We came just for the property. So honestly, I don't think we're scratching the surface for tourism for our area with what we've done so far, right? Maybe when we get to 100,000 guests, like, where are we? Point two, 0.3% of the number of tourists that come here. So I don't think we're scratching the surface. Hotels build hundreds of rooms a year, right? In all markets across America, they're building to meet demand, and I don't think we're exceeding demand here.
So do you, I kind of talked a little bit about base camp properties versus destination properties where, you're going to build a base camp like next to Zion and you can land there and, and then you can go experience something that's adjacent to it versus destination where you're creating the space to go to. How important do you feel like those two are versus an overlap? Like, do you need, can you purely do a destination property anywhere, or does it still need to be a base camp person next to, an interesting downtown, a national park? How much do you think those things work together?
That's probably something I would watch out for, right? Um, you can take like Newry and Bethel, Maine, for instance. A lot of people rushed in to buy there. It got all this big social media buzz. A couple years ago, there were short-term rental influencers pushing people to that market like crazy, and it was a newer market. There was no testing period or testing ground there. They were operating off of old data where supply was really constrained and putting too many great properties way too fast and not watching the data and being really careful. There was no one that was being a steward of that market. For me in Asheville, like, I try to be a steward of this market. I try not to put too many of these great short-term rentals in the same neighborhood, on the same side of town. We try to spread things out as we're looking for properties. We think of all the past properties our clients have done and how is this new one going to mix in with all of those. So there was no one that was being a real steward of that area. So I think if those destination properties can do really well, and they have done really well. We know so many success stories. But that's an area where you got to be really careful, because if you do one and then 10 other people do one, now you're really saturated, right? Now that there is a point where, like, how many people are going to go to the middle of nowhere where there's nothing else to do other than go to this property and not have anything else to do. So for me, it's always an overlap. And that's one reason I like Asheville so much for me, and why we've never personally invested anywhere else, is because you have the city, you have the mountains, it's easy access to millions and hundreds of millions of people can get here so easily, both via driving and via our airport here. Infrastructure is going up. Number of airlines coming in is going up. And so for me, that's why I like Asheville, because you mix those things, right? It is a destination. There's so much to do, and you can attract people with these really, really cool properties. So I think that that's possible pretty much anywhere where you have that kind of base camp. You can do those properties, but the other side of things where you're just making the destination, just be really careful that 100 people can't follow you in and do the same thing. There should be some sort of barrier to entry, right? And for me in Asheville, the barrier to entry is inventory. There's very little good properties that come on the market that would be great. At any given time, I have like 30 or 40 people that want to buy a property here and do what we've done so many times over. It's not that easy. Is one going to come on the market this week? This month? Is one going to come on the market? That might be a good one that we can kind of go do the same thing. So that's our natural barrier to entry here. And so just make sure that you have something that stands in the way of 100 copycats coming in too fast.